Yo guys, what's going on and welcome back to a brand new video on Hijomeatman News, where today we are going to be taking a look at test day number 2 from Sepang. A little roundup of the results and what we've noticed from Sepang. We won't be going too much in detail because we've obviously got the Let's Talk that will be coming out after the Sepang test is completed, where we'll go more in depth on the new parts that they're testing and stuff like that. If you did miss the little roundup of yesterday, day 1, then I recommend you go back because I filled in a couple of details in terms of parts and a few other little bits and bobs, injury updates and stuff like that in that one. So I do recommend you go back and watch that one before you watch this one, just so you're kind of in the loop of what's going on. But it was Maverick Vinales who ended the test yesterday in 3rd position, who topped the test today. Only by 0.5 seconds, half a second over Alex Rins on the Suzuki. So both Spaniards at the front and looking very, very good as we go into the final day tomorrow. In 3rd position, and a bit of a surprise, was Jack Miller, who didn't really mention much of yesterday in the roundup video. He had a crash yesterday, as I did mention that little bit of topic, but he had a crash, couldn't go onto his number 2 bike. No, couldn't use number 1 bike, had to go on his number 2 bike, which I think was part of the plan anyway. But I think the plan was to go number 2 bike and then back to number 1 bike for a lap time at the end, and he wasn't able to do that. So Jack Miller managed to get a lap time in today. It was a 1:59.517 that put him into 3rd spot ahead of fellow Ducati rider Andrea Dovizioso, who topped the test throughout most of the afternoon. It was Valentino Rossi who led the way early on though, with Marc Marquez's 2nd. Then Andrea Dovizioso came out of the pit lane and went top, and in the end, after everyone put in their laps at the end of the session, dropped down to 4th position with Cal Crutchlow in 5th place. The guy who broke his ankle in 17 places. He's got a kilogram of steel in that leg, and he's 5th position. But he did have a crash today. He's okay though. He lifted his leg up in the air and he went through the gravel and made sure that leg did not get hit by the gravel to re-aggro it, sort of thing. And he ended the test in 5th position ahead of Valentino Rossi, who ended today once again in 6th position. But is 7th overall after Marc Marquez's quickest time in day 1. So Valentino Rossi 6th, 7th overall, whilst Tito Rabat ends the second day in another decent 7th position. He was 4th yesterday, 7th today. Really good stuff from Tito Rabat as he gets to grips with that Reale Avintia, obviously a new bike. They're on GP18s, I believe. And Tito's happy with the performance of that new bike as he's getting to grips with the braking, and going into corners is a lot better for him. Marc Marquez has had a tricky second day after dropping a lot of energy levels. Obviously, we know he's had that operation on the left shoulder, and wrestling a MotoGP bike around Sepang in the heat is not easy. He sat out the rest of the day. About 2 o'clock local time, I think he hung up his levers and called it a day for the remaining couple of hours. He ended the test in 8th position with Danilo Petrucci on the 2nd factory Ducati in 9th, with Takaki Nakagami on that LCR Honda Idemitsu bike rounding out the top 10. Now, yesterday I mentioned Johan Zarco and KTM had bought 17 tons of upgrades for the 4 KTM bikes, well, the 5 KTM bikes, including Mika Kallio, on track over the last couple of days because they had the shakedown test. Zarco has been getting to grips with that KTM, that RC16, and he's jumped up to 11th on the timesheets for the Frenchman, a time of a 1:59.9. So just over a second off Maverick Vinales' top time. But if you're taking away the half a second advantage he's got, it's only half a second off 2nd position. So that's a good time for Johan Zarco. He's responded from yesterday and he's jumped up just outside the top 10. In 12th position was Francesco Bagnaia. He's had a bath mat that Jorge Lorenzo used on the fuel tank to help him grip to the tank a little bit better, with Aleix Espargaro in 13th place. And now this is the interesting one because Aleix Espargaro focused on a long run, as did Ducati. Ducati was more impressive, but we'll talk about that in the Let's Talk more because we'll go more in depth in that one. But Aleix Espargaro did a 20-lap run in the midday sun around the same time as what you go out for the actual race, and his lap times were only about half a tenth on average off what Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez was doing in the actual real-life Grand Prix when they were leading 1-2. So things could be looking good for Aprilia in the long runs. But in terms of one lap pace, it doesn't seem to be there because Andrea Iannone ended the test in 18th position. But we also have to remember that the conditions in the test are a little bit better. You know, the chances of rain is a little bit less because obviously right in the middle of monsoon season at Sepang. When we go there racing, so the grip levels are a bit higher, the rubber doesn't get washed away, you know, it's not sunny, hot and rain all in one condition, all in one day. So that's obviously to be taken with a pinch of salt, Alesia's run, because also Ducati, they did faster than what Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez did. But the total time for Aprilia and Aleix Espargaro on his run, completing the 20 laps, 3.5 seconds faster than what Marc Marquez's winning race total was back in October. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on Aleix Espargaro and Aprilia throughout 2019. Now, riding out the top 15 was the two Petronas bikes, with Fabio Quartararo, who had been upgraded to a 2019 bike. He was ahead of Franco Morbidelli, his teammate, with Stefan Bradl, the Honda test rider, in for Jorge Lorenzo in 16th, with Pol Espargaro, who once again, like yesterday, had a crash, a nasty high side at turn number 1. More on that in the Let's Talk as well. Crashed out and lost a bit of track time. He did jump straight back onto the bike, but obviously had to get the bike repaired. Just clear his mind a little bit, because I think he was a little bit beaten up, a little bit winded and bruised after that one. He ended the test in 17th position with Andrea Iannone, who's making slow improvements with the Aprilia. But the question is how long will Aprilia maintain that level of patience with Andrea Iannone, and how long Andrea Iannone will have the patience with the Aprilia if he's not getting the results. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Mika Kallio, the test rider, ended in 19th position with Miguel Oliveira, who had an impressive day 1. Day 2, he set a lap time of 2 minutes 0.6. So not quite sure what the lap time he did yesterday, but he's a bit further down the timesheets at the end of day 2, with Johan Mir, the other Suzuki rider, in 21st position, as once again he's still just getting to grips with the GP bike and getting to grips with the new parts that Suzuki have brought. Karel Abraham, bit of a disappointing 22nd position for him. I think on the Reale Avintia bike, with what Tito Rabat's doing, would be, I think I would have thought it would have been a little bit higher up. But Karel Abraham ended the test in 22nd position with Yamaha Test Bike 1, which was Nazane and Nakasuga, with Silva Gintoli, Hazi Sayarin, Jonas Folger and Takuya Tsuda rounding out the top 27 at the end of day 2. So there we go. Is that a little bit of a light at the end of a tunnel for Maverick Vinales, because he on top by half a second. Now I'm going to wrap it up because Valentino Rossi's just started an interview for day 2, so I'm going to go and listen to that. So I shall see you guys next time until tomorrow for the final roundup. I'll see you then. So thank you for watching and goodbye.